Always do your best. For many years I served during my career as a human resource director. I hired a lot of people. I disciplined, counseled a lot of people, terminated people, reassigned people, particularly hiring people, because we found with the good jobs that we had that there were a lot more applicants for than we could handle. I mean, there would be a stack of resumes for a job that we had. So we always had plenty of candidates to pick from. Let me tell you one secret about human resources. Contrary to what you might think, you don't have to be the strongest, the smartest, or the most educated person to succeed at a job. As a matter of fact, if you do believe any of those things, you're on the wrong track. Those things are noteworthy. It's nice to be the most physically able if it's a manual job requiring physical abilities, or to be educated and to be very intelligent. Those are nice things. But they're not keys to success in the workplace. And the reason for that is because we're talking about quality of work. And the quality of your work does not necessarily depend on those three things. And I want you to think about that. Just because you may know the most, or have the highest degree, or the highest certification, it doesn't mean you're the best employee. You need to think about that. Because if we're going to succeed at our job, we need to start out being sure, having confidence in ourselves and our capabilities, but also being humble. What matters most to a boss is that you do good work. And so a boss is going to value an employee regardless of their training and highfalutin degrees and how many languages they can speak, with how good they do their job. So always work hard to do your best. You have to look at your job as though your name is invisibly stamped on every project you do, on every job you do. You're signing it. It's your signature on it, whether it's actually done with an ink pen or not. Your reputation is on the line every time you do a job. So when your boss is told, well, Jimmy Jones did this project, or he's working on this project, or Ellen is working on that project for you, what does that tell your boss? Think about that. What does your reputation tell your boss? Is it mediocre? My wife had two gold rings. She wanted to join them together to make a double ring out of two. Well, she took it into a jewelry shop. And they kept it for about a week and never heard back from them. She tried to call them, they didn't answer the phone. After a couple days, she finally got a hold of them. We went in and picked up the ring. She looked at the job they had done when they joined the two rings to make a double ring. It's just something she wanted to do. And it looked okay on the very top, you know, where you see it here. But if you looked underneath, it was really crummy. There were bubbles, and I don't know anything about working with gold, but it really looked lousy. And so she pointed that out. She said, you know, I brought these rings in here, you're charging me to do this. and there's all this, it's not nice and smooth and done like I would have expected for the money I'm being charged. And you know what the craftsman, the technician, whoever does that sort of thing in jewelry shops, you know what his response was? Well, it was on the bottom. I didn't think anybody would notice. Don't do that, all right? That's mediocrity to the nth degree. And my wife one time bought me a piano to surprise me, a used piano. And she had it delivered to the house. I'm not a pianist by any stretch of the imagination. I've had no formal training or anything, but I love music. So I sat down and started playing it, and with what little I knew, self-taught. Well, it was obvious to me that it was out of tune. And it was obvious to me that there were a few pads that needed repair or adjustment of some sort. So I mentioned that. Well, she called the store where she bought this piano. And that person's response was, well, I thought that since your husband is not very well practiced in piano, he's just learning, that he wouldn't notice. Well, he didn't take that into account when he charged us for the piano. He charged us full price. So the end result of that was they brought a different piano. Went through a lot of work on their part to take a piano and bring one in. But that's mediocrity. And those two places, the jewelry shop and that music place, have in my mind very mediocre ratings. I would not recommend them for any work, because it's slipshod. Their name has been connected with that. Now anyone can make a mistake, but when they purposely, knowingly cut a corner just because they think they can get away with it, don't do that. Always do your best at your job. Be known for the work that you do. When I do a job, I want someone to say, oh, did you say Pat McConaughey was in charge of that project? Oh, well, I don't need to worry about it anymore then. I know it'll be done right. And I know he'll keep me informed. And I know if he does make a mistake and flub up, it's not about being perfect, that he'll let me know and he'll fix it. He'll try to fix it. He'll do what he can. I can trust the work. Be known for that, doing your best. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to have the most degrees. Just do your honest best and be open to new ideas and new methods of your co-workers or your boss or your subordinates. Come to you with an idea. Be open to it. Sometimes as a supervisor, someone may come to you with an idea, and in your mind, because of perhaps your experience, you say, well, I don't know if that's the best way to do it. I've done this for years. But sometimes it's important to let other people try it. They may have a better way of doing it than what you were thinking. It may work out fine. It may have been a brilliant idea. Be open and be willing to let other people give you advice. Maybe you're working with a machine or you're doing a certain project and someone else has an observation or has experience that might help you. Well, don't be defensive about it. Listen to them and give it a try. Number one, you'll earn their respect because you treated them with dignity and you listened to them. And even if you decide not to do it their way, to listen to them with respect and dignity and be open to new methods, new ways of doing things. And always be willing to learn from other people. Set your ego aside, because that's what it is. It's like so many times somebody can point out something that we could do differently or should, and often they're right. Sometimes maybe they're not. But often they have a good idea. Listen to them and try it if you think you can. But be willing to learn from others. Be willing to admit that you don't know everything that there is to know about a job. I don't think there's anybody. I don't think Albert Einstein would have said to any, I'm not aware of him ever giving a speech where he said, I know everything that I need to know. And I don't want anybody giving me advice because I already know everything that I need to know. He would have been too intelligent for that. He would have been willing and open to learn new things that pertain to what he was doing. So be willing to learn. Always do your best. That's the important part of this step. And it starts tomorrow when you go to work. You'll hear this in every step about starting, not only just listening to it and saying, well, yes, that's a good idea, something to think about. No, it's something tomorrow to put into your job. Do your best. If you don't know the answers to a question, ask. People like, generally people like to be asked. They like to show you how to do something. It's good for their self-esteem to know that you ask them a question or you ask for advice. And sometimes they may not be able to give it. Sometimes they may be busy. Sometimes they may feel threatened by you and your job that you're doing, and they may feel competitive. Yes, you all have all that, those dynamics that can come into play. But basically, people like to be helpful. You like to be helpful. You like to help other people. And so other people are the same way. But whether they are or not, be willing to do your best. People respect someone who's trying their hardest to do the best job they can. And if they don't feel it's as good as they can do, then they're learning and they're trying to figure out a better way, a better method. So always do your best at whatever project, large and small, and don't cut corners by saying, well, I didn't think they would notice. Don't ever say that. Don't cut a corner by saying, well, by the time they find out, I'll be gone. And we never want to burn a bridge. Even if we're going to quit, if we've given our 2-week notice, continue to do the best you can. Never burn a bridge. That's been a motto of mine throughout my whole career. Because it's amazing how your previous employers, previous co-workers can give you references. They may hire you again someday in some other venue. So always do your best.